Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another TheeSportsScoop video. Today, we are doing our NFL first round mock draft 2.0. I'm obviously joined by my great host, Surge Kali. We have two drafters today, two draft analysts. Surge recently just dropped his mock draft. Obviously, the drafts we don't have separate like Surge is 1.0. We have it by channel. So as a channel, it is our fifth mock draft. We're going to be getting so many out. Expect at least one a week from now on, especially now with a ton of the picks solidified. But this is our official kind of end of regular season mock draft, although it is a little bit late. But as always, guys, make sure you subscribe. If you guys like draft content, we're going to be getting draft profiles out of separate players, positional rankings like we did last year if you guys are fans of the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe. I'm honestly telling you right now, we are a ton of draft content. Obviously a ton of fun. Mock drafts are the best video to do. But Suraj, how are you doing today? Are you ready to get some drafting in?
I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, we'll be rotating picks. Obviously, we'll give analysis on each pick. So yeah, if you guys are NFL fans, let's talk about it quickly, Serge. So we're gonna bring up the draft board here, Serge. I think this is the most interesting thing. Jordan Davis is now the 9th ranked player on this board. Which it's not that I would say I don't agree with it. Okay, I don't agree with it. But that being said, I think he had a fantastic national championship. So I think that's why he's risen. 9 is way too. That's crazy. I mean, that is to me.
I think it might have actually been 9 before the national championship. I'm not sure, but yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was a second rounder. He was like 30 something.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how that happened, but we'll get into the picks. Obviously, I have number 1 here with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Surge. I think this year is going to be really fun because I think it will go to the actual draft. Like this conversation between if Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeaux is the pick at 1, I think will be argued. For me, I completely agree with you. I'm going to go Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think he's the better pass rusher. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux, to me, just shows a little bit more edge rushing presence. I love Aiden Hutchinson. I think this guy is one of the best bull rushes I've seen in a long time. I think a lot of the the edges you've seen come out as recent are powerful, but you see them a lot being Benny, Chase Young, Nick Bosa, all guys like that, Joey Bosa stuff, Myles Garrett, obviously all physically huge guys, but are not as power rushing. So I'll give that credit to Aiden Hutchinson. Kayvon Thibodeaux to me just reminds me of the classic rusher that we've seen go at number 1. He's just fantastic. His bend around the edge is fantastic. I think, again, it's second to none of people coming out of the draft. I think it's just as good, just as high on the level of, some of the first overall picks, second overall picks that have been edge rushers. And I think what he possesses most of is the ability to kind of stop the run and get to the quarterback. And he's just exactly what the Jaguars have. And that's kind of an X factor on defense, which I think they're lacking. And obviously why they have the number 1 pick for the second year in the row. It's just that defense wasn't good enough. There's obviously offensive problems, but I think Thibodeaux, to me, first of all, I think he fits in Jacksonville more than Aiden Hutchinson, just like as a place. I know that sounds stupid. Someone commented that on your last mock draft, Serge, and I was like, that's a great point. Obviously, that's not going to impact it. The team's going to go for whoever's a better player. But I mean, if you take Aiden Hutchinson here, I think it's definitely the pick. But Serge, what do you think about this pick? And then get into your next one.
Yep. I think Thibodeaux makes sense to the Jaguars. I think I like Hutchinson, but I think he's not comfortably, but he's a better prospect in terms of elite, like kind of just physical gifts. Like he's got great speed off the edge. He's got great hand counters, has decent power, and he's just like very agile. So I like that over Hutchinson. But with the Lions, I think they've got to go Hutchinson. I think it's a matter of 1A, 1B. And with the team, I feel like bereft of talent as the Lions are, you go for like one of those kind of elite game-changing defensive players. And I think that's what Hutchinson is. I think he provides great power off the edge. He's got really no weaknesses on Michigan. I think also he's really got great hand power. He's got great hand counters really to offer. And with the Lions, again, they aren't necessarily insanely weak at edge. They've got Romeo Quara, but with Hutchinson, again, who can really make kind of almost change the defense by himself, I think he's like a no-brainer pick here. And I don't really see anyone else really going second overall to the Lions if Thibodeaux goes off the board.
I will say this. I think Kyle Hamilton is definitely a good shot here.
But
I agree. I think the edge is more or less the quarterback of the defense in terms of value when it comes to the draft. Like I feel like edge is like the first things, especially because I mean, Serge, what do you think about that? I don't. Maybe that's a bad take. I know linebackers are the quarterback of the defense, but
Yeah,
I think I
linebackers are
mean
more the
value
quarter,
wise. I mean
but they're the
value wise, because
very
you see quarterbacks that ain't, in terms of the draft, I
value
think
wise
the
they're so
edges
important. Yeah, I
are
think in
probably the
terms,
most valuable. I think it's probably edge. I think corner is probably second. So that's why I
I
think
would say
safety to
linebackers
me,
second, but
yeah.
I would say
And
edge
that being
first as
said,
well.
this is a tough one for me. I really think the Texans right now, because I'm not sure, because I feel like, building that offensive line makes a lot of sense. I really like Hamilton. I really like Stingley. It's a tough one. I'm really between, I don't know. I'm going to go, sirs. I know this is a very hot take. I'm going to go with Evan Neal, and I'm going to tell you why.
I like
I
the pick.
think this guy's going to have a fantastic pro day and a very good combine. I think this guy's going to show out at the combine. To be fair, this guy is a little bit overrated, Serge. I think you look at his film. I was looking at some of his film in the playoffs for Alabama. He's not a very good pass protector. In the run game, fantastic. Penei Sewell-like level. Not as agile in the second level, but, probably more powerful. One of the most powerful tackles I've seen come out in a while. I think it's just, to me, I think Davis Mills kind of securing himself, getting that second year. I don't think Hamilton's worth it in terms of just value. And I know it sucks. I know they're probably going to regret it, but I think Evan Neal, to me, I think you build the trenches first and then you go and get the value players, which again, I may be completely wrong with. And I think it's a tough one. But I just really think Evan Neal's going to show at the pro day. I think, his physical attributes are just too attracting to NFL teams. That being said, and I know people are going to comment about this pick, Hamilton, Stingley, I think Ekwonu could be a fantastic pick with the versatility he has. But Evan Neal, to me, is who I'm going to take here. Surge, what do you think?
Yep. I think Evan Neal's a good pick. Again, his film is a bit underwhelming. Again, I said he could be like a Trent, well, not Trent Williams. No one's really Trent Williams, but he reminds me of him in terms of the run game. He's just absolutely bulldozing whoever's in his way in the run game. And he'll be great for a team like a team that really is going to kind of try and go with a power run game. A team, maybe the Texans will do that. But I think Evan Neal, he's not bad in pass protection. I think he's definitely very competent there.
But it's just,
but you're drafting him for his run blocking. And that's where he's going to be an elite pass protector. We're not going on to the fourth pick. You have the Jets. It's a tough pick. I think there are many options here. You could go secondary. You have Kyle Hamilton. You have Derek Stingley. I'm going to go with Ikem Ekwonu from NC State. The reason why for this is that I'm not drafting him as a tackle. I'm drafting him as a guard. And I know he can bleed. And in the future, I think he actually might go switch to tackle. But I'm drafting him as a guard because I think that right now the Jets are actually relatively set at tackles because George Fant had a great season this year. And Mekhi Becton, we drafted him a couple of years ago as a first-round pick, and in his rookie season, he really showed how good he can be. Yeah. But the interior is still very lacking, I feel like, other than maybe Duvernay Tardif.
And
obviously Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're re-signing Duvernay Tardif, so we still need to have help on the interior. And I think that's exactly what Ikem Ekwonu provides. He's got, again, great power at the point attack. He's got solid IQ, and he's one of those kind of, again, big-bodied NC State offensive lineman. I think really could, again, from the get-go be that kind of like Mekhi Becton was in his rookie year, like Elijah Vera Tucker was in his rookie year. I could see Ekwonu kind of having that similar kind of impact on the Jets. And we saw in the final game of the season, they could not protect Zach Wilson. There definitely has to be an improvement on the interior side of the ball. And I think Ekwonu, what I love about him is, again, similar to other guys on this offensive line, he provides a lot of versatility. You can move into guard, you can move into center. Not center, sorry. Move into guard.
I mean, he probably could.
Who knows? I mean, maybe you could, but I think guard or tackle are the main fits. And I think that's, again, with the Jets offensive line that is kind of very suspect still. I think you kind of want to get guys that can be versatile on the offensive line. But I think I'm drafting Ekwonu here for his abilities as a guard and his, his great power at the point of attack. So I'm going to go with Ekwonu for the Jets at 4th overall.
Yeah, I really like this pick. I think, again, I've been definitely now starting to look at players. I was looking at a couple of Ekwonu draft profiles. This guy is a aggressive. He's a killer. He's that Tevin Jenkins, he wants to kill you. Like, he wants to be aggressive. And I know obviously that's a little bit aggressive using that word again, but I think Ekwonu to me kind of adds, like with Mekhi Becton, just those really powerful and just really that instinct, because as an edge rusher, as you think the edge rushers are the aggressive, want to get to the quarterback, but having a really aggressive offensive lineman is scary. And I think Ekwonu adds that. Obviously versatility is another huge thing, which I think could be a big reason why he probably is now ranked higher than Evan Neal. And against her, it's great. I think the advantage he has, he is a great run blocker, not as good as Evan Neal, but a great pass blocker. So I think kind of that duality he has and the versatility. I mean, again, we've seen the versatile players get taken earlier. Elijah Vera Tucker, Rashawn Slater, see guys like that, taken because, that is a very, very, wanted trait. But we'll move on now to my pick with the Giants, who I think are very upset that both Ekwonu and Evan Neal, and you can't call me a biased fan anymore because I took Evan Neal for the Texans. So I wasn't doing that. This is a really tough one for me. So I think when you look at this Giants pick, I think it'll be now with Ekwonu and Evan Neal off the board. I think it will be, this could very much be a trade down situation. Or I think when I look at this, I think it'll be defensive if we were to go here. And because I think, Serge, when you look at it, first of all, if Neal or Kwanu's left, you're looking at offensive tackle. 7th, you're going defensive like Karlaftis or a secondary player, maybe a linebacker. But I think it'll flip here. I think it'll go defense now with how the board's panned out, and then an offensive lineman. Like I'm looking at Charles Cross, maybe. But with this pick, it's really tough. I'm very, very highly looking at some of the quarterbacks on the board if I'm the Giants. I don't think they'll take one. And again, I'm being realistic. I think, again, realistic, kind of what else we want. And I'm going to go with the best player on the board, and I'm going to go for Kyle Hamilton.
I like the pick.
I would love this pick if I'm a Giants fan, just because of how talented he is. Is it the biggest need? It might not be. But if I'm the Giants, and as a Giants fan, I've been, kind of reading some stuff. I think they'll probably move on from one of those one of the veteran secondary players like a Jabril Peppers, who's not really veteran, but been in the league, or a James Bradbury this offseason to free up some cap space. And I think Kyle Hamilton, obviously, Serge, fills that role. We know how, talking about versatility, this is the most versatile guy that's gone off the board so far. Sub linebacker, Mike linebacker, play safety, strong safety, free safety, slot corner, nickel corner. Like he can play everything. Besides rush the passer, which I'm sure he still can do, great tackler, really good in overseas. I mean, he doesn't have many weaknesses, unfortunately. Kyle Hamilton is one of those elite players, and we don't see I believe we haven't seen a safety taken this high since Jamal Adams, if I'm not wrong.
I think so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, and I think Kyle Hamilton, I would argue, is a better prospect coming out of college. And, he has more length, more size. He looks like a linebacker, just a little bit skinnier. So he fits that perfect kind of lengthy safety. And I think the versatility he brings to a Giants defense that not only is missing kind of that, box linebacker where they can put Hamilton in the box, he'd be fantastic. And it would just be an exciting pick. Like Kadarius Toney was a really exciting pick last year. He brought a lot of versatility, a lot of, pizzazz to a Giants offense. And I think Kyle Hamilton will bring this enforcing kind of will to a Giants defense. And if there's someone I would want to build around, Kyle Hamilton is 100% that guy. So I'm going to go for Kyle Hamilton here. But Serge, you're on the clock at number 6.
Yep, got the Carolina Panthers on the clock, and they have to seriously be considering quarterback with kind of the uncertainty with Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, PJ Walker. I think I'm going to go Matt Corral from Ole Miss. He has been my quarterback.
So you're going to get Matt Corral as the first guy off the board.
I think he's been my quarterback one for a while. I just like his decision making. You saw really what happened once he got injured in the Baylor game, and that offense just was not at all the same without him. I don't really like any of the quarterbacks in the draft, but I would only draft one based on necessity. And this is saying that if the Panthers don't trade for a quarterback, they don't have any viable option for 2022. And I think they might be forced to kind of reach on a quarterback like a Matt Corral or a Kenny Pickett early on. So I'm going to go with Matt Corral as the first quarterback off the board for the Carolina Panthers.
All right. I think it's a great pick. I think either him, Kenny Pickett. I think Malik Willis isn't out of the option.
Malik Willis is definitely an option.
I think that could be a trade down spot if they were to look quarterback.
Oh yeah, I think I would trade down if that spot, but I don't.
Yeah, obviously we can't trade in this. And now we have the Giants, and as much as tempting it is to go Derek Stingley, and just take the two best secondary players in the class, which now that I'm saying is really tempting. Ooh, that's Serge. What do you think about that?
It wouldn't be bad, but that being said, I think the Giants need offensive line so desperately.
Yeah, I know. So let's look at the offensive lineman here. Cross, obviously next to Freer, Trevor Penning, a pretty deep tackle class. We know that. I don't know where. Excuse me. Never mind.
And then interior, we've got Kenyon Green, Linderbaum.
Yeah, I'm going Derek Stingley. Stingley. This was a pick that wasn't based off need. This was a pick that, if we get Derek Stingley, that would literally leave me speechless. This secondary would be fantastic. already, I think we have those young guys. I wouldn't be, surprised again, like I said, when I took Kyle Hamilton, if we moved on from a James Bradbury, Julius Peppers, or one of those kind of veteran corners. And I know I'm going to be getting the most hate in the comments, Surge, because of these picks. But I mean, as a Giants fan or just as a fan of the draft, how can you say this is a bad pick? Yes, it's not based off need, but a lot of teams haven't draft based off need and it's panned out, Jamar Chase. So again, I mean, if you guys, we actually did we've done 2 scouting reports in the summer, and I did one on Derek Stingley. And I mean, this guy was, first of all, I was saying this guy could be drafted as a freshman, was fantastic as a freshman lockdown. This guy's a definition of a lockdown corner. He's a definition of a guy who can go in and if he's coached well, will be someone who shuts down the receiver on the other side of the field for the entire game. And I think Derek Stingley has all that, like literally no holes in his game, obviously, unless you nitpick, just like Kyle Hamilton. And again, I was saying, if you want to build around someone, make it Kyle Hamilton, make it now Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley. And obviously with the new coaching that I hopefully is good coming into New York, I think that it just builds them a great future as a defense. And I think some of the Giants have had, I would love to see them get an identity as a good defense. I feel like that's something to take pride in. And again, this pick is very much based on me as a Giants fan. But I think Derek Stingley would just be a fantastic pick here. And I just, Charles Cross is a great offensive lineman. I would take Derek Stingley. But Surge, you're on the clock now with the Falcons. You just took a quarterback.
With the Atlanta Falcons, they're upset because I don't think they anticipated the Giants taking Stingley. Because imagine the tandem of AJ Terrell and Derek Stingley, that would have been great. But I think this is a good chance now for Atlanta to fill the biggest need, pass rush. As you saw by some of the graphics, both TJ Watt and Robert Quinn alone have had more sacks than the entire Atlanta Falcons have had this season. Yeah. That is not acceptable. They should go for an edge rusher.
TJ Watt by himself.
I am actually going to go for David Ojabo over George Karlaftis. And it's actually like Karlaftis a bit more. But the reason why I go for Ojabo here is I think he has probably one of the highest ceilings in this draft. I think he could easily if with good coaching, he could become a top 10, maybe even top 5 edge rusher in this league. He's got great speed. He really benefited from being off Hutchinson, like kind of being opposite to Hutchinson on the edge. And I think he really is still, I wouldn't say necessarily he's learning football, but he didn't start playing until like, I don't know, what was it? Like,
recent.
Yeah, recently. Recently, he didn't start playing until recently. And he's better, I think, equipped for the Falcons 3-4 system under Dan Pease as then like
I think Ojabo can play as a kind of an outside linebacker where Karlaftis seems kind of like solely an edge.
More of a 4-3 motor type guy. So I think Ojabo fits that. Maybe a little bit of a reach, but I think his potential makes it worth it at number 8. And again, Atlanta need to address pass rush. And at number 8, I think Ojabo makes sense here.
Yeah, I think that's a great description of it. Now we have the Broncos, and I think this is where the second quarterback goes off the board. And I think it's Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett is the first guy I want to do a scouting report on kind of when we start that. I think Kenny Pickett is I think Kenny Pickett it's actually tough because I was going to say I think Kenny Pickett will be the most successful year one, but I think it'll probably be Corral because Pickett has only really had one good year of production with Pittsburgh, but just what the intangibles he has right now as a quarterback to me seems like it'll translate very well into the NFL in a year one type system and with a Broncos team that's good. Like this isn't it's a rebuilding team.
Well, somewhat, but they've got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, they're like mid-rebuild, not beginning. Yeah.
I'd say almost.
But I think he'll be filled with a great offense. Obviously, a secondary we know can turn over the ball and bring it back to him. And again, I think Kenny Pickett has a great arm. I think his mobility throughout the pocket and just mobility as a whole, obviously we saw in that fake slide. And I think his ball placement's great as well, and he has a good arm. So I think and size wise, it's actually. I mean, seriously, you would think Kenny Pickett is like 6'5", 6'6", right? He's actually only 6'3", which still obviously it's good. I mean, 6'3", I think is kind of not the minimum because we know there's smaller quarterbacks, but kind of that size where it's like, all right, it's good.
Yeah, solid.
It's not something you have to worry about now.
You're happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think Kenny Pickett again would fit a really good Broncos offense. To be fair, we don't know who their head coach will be, but let's assume that they'll go get a better one. And I think Kenny Pickett would just fit the offense very well. Obviously, we talked about not fully in a rebuild, so I think he's kind of that perfect quarterback to come in and play. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett kind of, shows out this season. To be set, Bridgewater going into free agency, we know Surge, Drew Lock doesn't seem like the answer. I don't know, maybe Broncos fans are still holding on to that hope. but I think Kenny Pickett is that guy. And now you're on the clock at number 10 with your Jets for their second first-round pick.
Yep. Obviously, I think they were hoping maybe kind of wistfully hoping that maybe either Stingley or Hamilton could fall to number 10. It doesn't happen. But I think now this makes this pick kind of between two guys. I would say it's between two defensive players, either George Karlaftis or Nakobe Dean. I'm going to go with Karlaftis from Purdue.
Okay.
Because of the fact I think this was the type of guy that really would fit the Jet system well. Kind of Robert Tull, he's looking for that kind of 4-3 kind of guy, like a motor guy who's got power off the edge. And that's basically what Karlaftis can do. That's really what he's best suited for. And the Jets desperately needed really kind of a true edge rusher, because John Franklin Myers says he's been competent at edge rusher, but he's clearly better on the interior of the defensive line. So they need a true guy that can kind of step in and be that edge rusher, that not only just an edge rusher, but a solid edge rusher. I think that's what Karlaftis can really be from the get-go. And I think, again, he's one of those guys that I feel like could, if he's used well, he could easily be a very, very productive edge rusher in this league, especially with the talent we have on the interior side of the ball with Quinn Williams, with John Franklin Myers, with Sheldon Rankins. There are a lot of options to work with on the interior, which should free Karlaftis up for one-on-one matchups with tackles. And yeah, that's what I'd say. I think he would kind of, it's a practical pick here. I think he could really pan out. And I'd say also it's pretty good value for number 10 overall.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. Now we're going on to Washington, where I think they're looking at quarterback. But to me right here, I don't think it's worth it going Willis. I don't, Carson Strong is broken that first round. You guys know I very much dislike Howell. So it's tough. And JT Daniels still in the draft. That's surprising. I thought that he would not be. And then obviously we know, Talua Tagovailoa is in the draft. We're not taking him. So I thought Stetson Bennett was in the. I know maybe he'll be a fifth.
I think so. I don't know if he could get. I mean,
yeah,
that's
he's 5'11", Surge.
Ooh, I mean, that's not terrible nowadays, but
yeah,
he doesn't really show any great intangibles.
But but I'm actually gonna go for. And where is he? You know who I'm going for, Surge. Where is he? Wow, are they oh my god. Maybe I passed him. I think corner's a little bit more of a need.
Oh,
Here he is at 35.
Which is just not.
I'm gonna go Andrew Booth. I was gonna go Ahmad Garner, who I think is 100% value at 11. I think Sergio would have been a good pick for 10 for the Jets. I don't know why they're hating on him. My favorite corner in the draft. But Andrew Booth, to me, I think, has those just ball skills. We look at it, obviously, hands, kind of that. He reminds me of someone who can have Trayvon Diggs like production with interceptions. And as much as I think Trayvon Diggs is not a good cornerback, I think Andrew Booth could be that kind of flip side where he's also good in coverage, been fantastic for Clemson, throughout his years. And I think, again, fits a Washington defense that needs a ball hawking ball hawking type corner to be opposite Kendall Fuller, who's kind of fallen off. He was once one of the good corners in the NFL and still is probably top 20, but I think they kind of want to revamp that. And they don't want to lose that defensive kind of prowess, which they had last year, and they lost a little bit of it this year with losing Chase Young. I think Andrew Booth just adds youth to obviously Cameron Curl, Benjamin St. Justy, who they drafted last year from Washington, either the third, fourth round, who's been great in the slot. And I think Andrew Booth, again, just fits another great defense. That being said, I know quarterback's an option. I think Desmond Ridder maybe could be a potential fit, but I'm going to go safe here because I don't think Washington would take the risk on a guy like Malik Willis. And I think they'll either rock with Heineke or someone in free agency. But I'm going to go for Booth here. Surge now at 12 with the Vikings.
Got the Vikings at 12 here. I'm going to go with another cornerback and the guy you just mentioned, Sauce Gardner. I think originally it would have, I think right now Minnesota desperately need a cornerback because their secondary, in my opinion, is very, very weak because their number one corner of the season was Patrick Peterson, who is like significantly aging and he is out of contract at the end of the season. Jeff Gladney, massive fail. Cameron Dantzler, I mean, I don't know how much, I haven't paid too much attention to him, but I think he's been okay. But they need a number one guy, and I think that's what Ahmad Gardner fits. Obviously, I don't know what the new defensive scheme is going to be in Minnesota with the firing of Mike Zimmer, and depends on really who they bring in. But Sauce Gardner, an amazing press man coverage corner, great. He's got he's got solid length, I believe, right? He is 6'2". Yes, he is.
Oh yeah.
Got great length. He's got good athleticism. Can really kind of just get into receivers business. He locked down Jameson Williams in the college football playoffs. So really, he's played the best of the best, and he's won. And for a team like Minnesota, again, who need a cornerback, I think you can't really go wrong with Sauce Gardner. And yep, that's all I got to say.
Great pick. Serge, anyone who takes Gardner, you take him at 1. All right. But we'll move on now. Has there ever been a corner that's been taken at number 1?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think Derek Stingley had the potential this year. Obviously, he was injured, but
yeah.
Welcome to Tangents with Kian and Serge. We'll move on now to the Browns. Obviously, edge as a need inside defensive line. Need some inside offensive line. Is Jordan Davis the pick here? I think it could be. I'm, however, going to go for Jameson Williams out of Alabama. Look, I know the ACL. Obviously, first of all, prayers of Jameson Williams. Terrible ACL injury. I mean, the chances of both Alabama receivers in the draft tearing his ACL. But again,
expected to make a
full recovery, expected to retain his 40 time, which is 4.38,
which is
something fast. Obviously, it's terrible. And I think no matter what the reports are, if they'll be successful or not, we don't know until we see it. So I think that could be a question mark. But Jameson Williams, to me, if you want to replace Jarvis Landry, who I think might move on this offseason, and Odell Beckham, who's moved on, I think he's fantastic. If you want to give Baker Mayfield a chance to prove he's a franchise quarterback, I think it has to be Williams. And Serge, I think that could be a big thing. If they go Williams, are they kind of committing to Baker Mayfield for another year?
For another year, they'll commit. Yeah. I think they'll commit, but they still.
And not only that, I mean, Jameson Williams would be fantastic for whoever your quarterback is. Obviously, Serge is talking about that speed. I mean, he's an Alabama receiver, kind of slim, really fast, electric after the catch. I mean, I believe he has size. I believe he's 6 feet. I'll just check his player profile. Yeah, 6'2". Oh, he's big. 6'2". Yeah. Not big, but I mean, 6'2" is sizey. So I mean, that just he's a very well-rounded receiver. 6'2", fast. Again, he just reminds me kind of that, not Devontae Smith, but reminds me of a player who can have production like Devontae Smith did last year. And to me, I think that's, you never really see an NFL draft without an Alabama receiver getting taken in the first round. I think that's what will be Jameson Williams this year. Serge, the electricity this guy brings to the game. We've seen it. He's just a game breaker, and I think he'd be fantastic for a Browns team that is starting to now coming into this offseason lack in the pass catching side of things. And I think Jameson Williams just bolsters it, adds some youth to a Browns team that I think has the roster, but just kind of needs to figure some things out.
Yep.
And I think Williams proves that. But Serge, now you're on the clock with their divisional rival, the Baltimore Ravens. What are you looking at here?
I'm looking at a multitude of positions, but I think the Ravens really need to kind of rebuild on this offensive line. So I'm going to go with Kenyon Green from Texas A&M.
Okay. Oh, so
kind
not
of, again,
cross.
Not cross, because I do think interior especially needs a bit of help, because they are getting Ronnie Staley back at the end of the season, even though he has had season-ending injuries the past 2 years. But I think Kenyon Green, I think this is a solid pick. He's got got good versatility in the run game. He can play executing both a power and a zone run blocking scheme. He's solid in pass protection sets. And again, with the Ravens, you've seen all year, they just do not have good enough pass protection or run blocking at all. I mean, Lamar, just when he was healthy, he was getting pressured on that left side by Villanueva and whoever their guards were, because I think there were some injuries there as well.
Villanueva and Zeitler were there. No, their guards were great. Or excuse me, Zeitler was fantastic.
Zeitler was good, but Ben Powers was just
no.
They still need more help on the interior in terms of protection. And Green does also offer the versatility to play tackle as well. And again, I think they could go with it. I could see them taking a DeMarvin Leal here, or again a Charles Cross. I think tackle still is a big need. But I think interior is a bit of a bigger need, so I'm going to go with Kenyon Green.
All right, now we're on to the Eagles, back-to-back picks. So we're each going to get to give one to the Eagles. And I don't think, I don't know why Nakobe Dean is ranked here, but I'm going to go for Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. I think he should be better than Devin Lloyd, although I had Devin Lloyd as my linebacker 1. I think they're close. I think they're kind of 1A, 1B type situation. But Nakobe Dean, to me, I think looking at that national championship game, he just, shows a kind of player who can be like a quarterback of the defense. He kind of shows me that Nick Bolton-like leadership that we saw from last year from the Missouri linebacker. He just has that motor. He's a great tackler, notices plays, able to blow up plays, able to rush the quarterback quarterback. A big reason why Bryce Young was unsuccessful in the national championship, is able to get there. He has speed. And again, I think he's a kind of extension, if you will, of the modern linebackers that we've seen come out. The faster, more agile, can do more things. Linebackers kind of a loose term now, because most linebackers can pass rush, like a Micah Parsons, kind of paving the way for the new linebackers. So I think Nakobe Dean proves that he can pass rush. And I think what the Eagles need is, they have a ton of picks, but it's about what can you do with those picks. You want to get versatility. You want to get, and again, I mean, seriously, the amount of times we say versatility is crazy, but as each year, more versatile players get into the draft, more players are able to do more things. And I think Nakobe Dean's been fantastic, been kind of the anchor in that Georgia Bulldogs defense. And a big reason why they're the best in college football this year. I think Nakobe Dean would fit perfectly for the Eagles. Again, that being said, if you're looking at it, how much it would fit, maybe go and wait till 19, because I don't think the Chargers are Saints, but you have picks so close together, it doesn't really matter who you go with here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went with someone higher ranked here, but Nakobe Dean's my pick. Serge, you're now with the Eagles again.
Yep.
After seeing me take Nakobe Dean, do you go defense?
I like Nakobe Dean. I think the Eagles still need a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball. They need to get really younger. And I'm going to go with the cornerback. I'm going to go with Roger McCreary from Auburn.
That's the pick I was going to go for. So
I'm going to go with McCreary. And I think, again, he doesn't have the standout traits, I feel like, of maybe an Ahmad Gardner or a Derek Stingley, but he does what you ask of him. He's great in coverage. He had the highest PFF, I think, coverage grade this college football season. And he was just very, very good for Auburn. He did, I think, his only really not so great game was against he did well against Alabama. I mean, he didn't really have any actual bad games. He's a solid tackler, again, solid in coverage. He's somewhat of a guy, again, like a stabilizer type of guy, a guy that you can kind of trust to go opposite to of big play Slay. He's good in zone coverage. He can be a ball hawking corner if you need him to be. So I'm gonna go with Roger McCreary from Auburn.
I like the pick. I think either him or McDuffie makes a ton of sense here.
Yeah.
But we'll move on now, where I have the Chargers obviously missing out on the playoffs, and I think kind of pinning down what their problems have been. It's hard to pin it down, but I'm going to go for DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M. I like Jordan Davis. I think Leal gives versatility. I think this pass rush for the Chargers hasn't been the same since they lost Melvin Ingram. And I think, they had that kind of duo of Ingram and Joey Bosa, who have been fantastic, but now it's kind of only Bosa. Bosa, he always has a good year. I don't think he had as great of a year as past years, wasn't as kind of noticeable. But I think DeMarvin Leal, the only reason I'll take him, I think DeMarvin Leal has dropped a ton. He was arguably a top 5, even maybe top 3 pick at the start of draft season, but I think he's fallen off a little bit. Obviously that game against Alabama was not good against good offensive linemen. But again, versatility, you play 3-4, 4-3, can play, tackle in a 4-3, defensive tackle in a 4-3, defensive tackle in a 3-4 edge. He kind of gives versatility, and for a Chargers defensive line that I think could use that very well. Although they do play a 4-3, I think it would be a great fit there. He plays like an edge, but kind of has the ability to use that edge rushing kind of package when he plays interior. So I think that would be a great pick for the Chargers. Again, maybe do you look at wide receiver possibly here, maybe cornerback, secondary, but I think defense is the option here. And now Serge, you're on the clock with the Taysom Hill Saints. So I'm just going to tell you their quarterback just to give you some wise words.
Is interesting, but I think they actually will re-sign Jameis Winston, who was doing relatively confident before he did go down with the torn ACL, which again for quarterbacks isn't really too big of a career-threatening injury. So I think he should be fine there. And I think one of their biggest needs now is receiver. You saw what happened when Michael Thomas is out for a full season. They have no-name guys, even when they were really healthy. I'm going to go. I mean, I know who probably you want me to go for. I'm going to actually go for Chris Olave, though. I like Olave. He's my receiver 1 in this class. My reasoning, seriously? I like him so much because I think he's the best route runner in this class. Route running is so important. I think he's got solid height. He's 6'1", so it's not like he's a small weapon either. And he's a kind of a good kind of boundary option. And the Saints really need that kind of solid route running wide receiver 1 who can kind of be somewhat of a safety valve for a quarterback that they really haven't had in the last 2 years when Michael Thomas has been mostly out with injury. So I think, again, this offense cannot just solely rely on Alvin Kamara just carrying this offense in the running game and in the receiving game. And I think Olave kind of provides a bit of receiving threat, at least somewhat of a receiving threat to the New Orleans Saints. So I think he kind of makes sense for whoever the quarterback will be. I think it should be Winston. I think it will be Winston. And I think it kind of gives him kind of a safety outlet that the Saints really haven't had since,
Yeah.
again, kind of 2 years ago when Michael Thomas had his breakout year.
Yeah.
Mm.
I like the pick, but I'm going to go for his Ohio State receiving duo. I'm going to go for Garrett Wilson for the Eagles here. I think Garrett Wilson is I think it's tough. I have to revise my receiving list. He's in the top 3. I think he's my 2. I think it's Williams and then him. Again, to me, he's the most electric receiver. Obviously, great route runner, really good after the catch, good hands. But I think, not good after the catch. That I think is his problem. Is it him or Olave? I have to do that. It's, again, the ability to break tackles. One of them is just subpar at. Nevertheless, Garrett Wilson's been fantastic. The production's there. Kind of that size is there. I believe he actually, I think, is deceivingly small for what it looks like. Or he's 6 feet. I think maybe it's Olave. Yeah, so Olave's 6'1", but Olave to me always seemed like the smaller receiver. He always seemed like a 5'10", 5'11" receiver. Again, 6 feet, great size. I think the defensive picks you went with, Nakobe Dean and McCreary, I think cover that defense. If I were to go for another pick, I'd probably go Jordan Davis. Maybe, I mean, I think for how this board has fallen. That's, what is the word? Has fallen. I'm in English honors and I did not know how to say that. Ooh. Sir, that's just embarrassing. All right. Well, never mind.
Just make sure Mr. Abrams isn't watching this.
Felon. Yeah. The way this board is felon. The way the board is fallen. I think Garrett Wilson makes the most sense. Giving Jalen Hurts, who, sir, I think both me and you are committed to, and we're not even Eagles fans. I've been committed to since last year. I think good quarterback, obviously now in the playoffs, solidified himself as kind of that quarterback for the future. I think the Eagles will now go into this offseason and start to build around Jalen Hurts, like we saw from kind of when they found out Josh Allen was their guy. They go out and get Stephon Diggs, and whether that be they trade for a receiver like maybe an Allen Robinson, or go and draft one. I think Garrett Wilson adds. I mean, him and Devontae Smith, that is a scary duo. And as a fan of a team in the NFC East, I would not want to see that happen. I would not want to see them go get Garrett Wilson. But again, they saw CeeDee Lamb taken away from them. I think they'll finally capitalize on going and getting that receiver in the draft, and hope that Jesus Christ it's not a Jalen Reagor like receiver, and go with Garrett Wilson. But Surge, you're now on the board with the Steelers, and now is the quarterback finally.
See, I was gonna take a quarterback here, but I'm actually gonna wait another round because I think they will still there'll still be options in the second round, but Charles Cross is fallen way too far. I think he could have easily been a top 10 pick, and many mock drafts he is a top 10 pick. Some people have him as going as high as 6 to the Panthers, but I'm going to kind of stop his fall here at 20, the Steelers. I think the Steelers desperately need to kind of revamp this offensive line. It's just not good enough. And Cross has really kind of been he's going to step in, be kind of that blindside blocker for whoever the future quarterback may be, and will kind of be, again, that kind of like solid left tackle really for the quarterback. That's a solid blindside blocker. He's very good in space. He's got fluid movement. He operates in wide sets. He's great in pass sets which will be great for whoever the new quarterback is. Does struggle a bit with power, but he's got solid hand technique. So I really like kind of what he offers here. He seems to be a relatively polished prospect. And I think, again, at 20 for the Steelers, even if he does end up being not a great player, you can't blame the Steelers for taking him right here at 20.
Yeah.
So
offensive linemen, I feel like generally pan out. I feel like they're more successful than.
Yeah, generally, I think they, especially a guy like Cross who could have been a top 10 pick, I think he definitely will pan out. So I think I'm going to go with Cross for the Steelers.
Yeah, I like that pick. And now we'll move on to the New England Patriots here at 21. And this is a tough one. I think that they will go for Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. I think wide receiver has been a big issue for them kind of throughout the whole season. Obviously, he's been successful this season. Mac Jones has been successful with the receivers they've had, so I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of moved off receiver. But Treylon Burks to me kind of has it all. Believe again, no, he's not. Yeah, he's 6'3". It's so confusing. Treylon Burks to me is not a someone who has a very good at one town. He's good at everything. Good route runner, really good deep threat, very good hands. I would say his jump ball ability is second to none in this class. I think him and Drake London, kind of the two big bodied receivers, which again, I think to me personally, as someone, I generally trend toward bigger receivers. I feel like they're more menacing. They're easier to catch, or excuse me, I feel like they're more of a target. I don't know. Maybe that's, but Tyreek Hill. So, it's definitely up to you. But, the receivers that go earlier are definitely smaller guys. I think Traylon Burks comes off the board here. Obviously, really, really good after the catch. And I think, obviously, I would believe they think Mac Jones is their guy and they'll go all in. And the Patriots haven't been scared to kind of shock us of stereotypical Patriot plays
Patriot
like
norms.
last offseason. So I think Traylon Burks should be a surprising pick here. That being said, I think Devin Lloyd would be a great pick. I was going to go for Trent McDuffie, but I think Burks is kind of right around his value, maybe a little bit higher in the teens, but I think the Patriots would be very content getting him out of Arkansas. But Surge, now you're on the board with the Miami Dolphins.
Yep. And I think we have a Miami Dolphins fan on the channel, Dylan. He consistently is talking about the same issue with the Dolphins, and that is the offensive line. So I'm going to make him happy. Go for an offensive lineman. I'm going to see. Oh, I really like this pick for the Dolphins. They'll be thrilled if he's here. Tyler Linderbaum is still on the board.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be the pick here.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dolphins, really, honestly, every position along the offensive line is a weakness here for the Dolphins. And I think who's their center? Michael Dieter.
I have no idea.
I don't know. It's just not with a kind of possible generational center prospect like a Linderbaum, who can really he's great in all facets. He can kind of orchestrate a solid zone run blocking scheme. I think he'll fit in there. He'll be immediately the best offensive lineman on the Miami Dolphins by a mile.
Yeah, so, and what stands out to me about this pick is this guy moves like he's a tight end. He's incredibly mobile. I think that, sir, is a great way to put it, why he could be a generational talent. Now we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not sure where I saw him get drafted at. I absolutely love this pick. I think Davis has fallen a lot, sir, but I think it's granted. I don't think he should be 9. I don't know if you agree with that, but I am going to go for Drake London out of USC to the Raiders. I don't know why. I really just like the pick, keeping him in out west. And I think, he just, to me, seems like a great pick. Obviously, Drake London, to me, again, like I said, I'm someone who really likes tall receivers, and he's a big guy. I believe he's 6'5". I mean, 6'5", 210. He's the size of a Trevor Lawrence. He's big, and I know that wasn't a great comparison, but he's a big, tall guy. Obviously, an outside receiver, someone who like a Michael Pittman. We've seen USC kind of push out the big receivers as of recent years, and I think Drake London, again, a bully on that receiving line. I think you've found a pretty good receiver in Zay Jones, and I'm not sure, again, besides that, I'm Deshaun Jackson, obviously Hunter Renfrow, and I think that's why I would take a search. He complements that. You have Hunter Renfrow, who just route running wise is so he's just a fantastic route runner, that smaller receiver, that slot guy. And then you get Drake London on the outside. He can throw those fade route too. He's kind of used as like a Mike Evans. Whenever I see big receivers, I like to, that Mike Evans where, fade route one-on-one in the back of the end zone. Drake London is that kind of receiver to me. And again, I don't know why, I just really like this pick for the Raiders. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they went with the Jordan Davis. But I think that for once in the Raiders lifetime, they'll make a smart selection. And to me, that's Drake London. But now, Serge, you're on the board with the Arizona Cardinals. What are you looking at here?
Cardinals actually don't have very many weaknesses. I mean, they don't not like everyone's elite.
I see one at cornerback. I see a very good cornerback on the board that I would go with, who's fallen. And I don't know why LM is ranked this low. That's my pick. Pre-pick. That's my pick.
I was gonna say, I think I'm gonna go Elam. I think I'm gonna go Elam. Not just because you said it.
You're sending the card up. You're sending the card up. The pick is in.
Pick is in.
It's officially Elam. All right.
Yep, it's officially
Elam.
Just making
sure.
I think Elam kind of, again, he's got really good speed for a cornerback.
Yeah, and he has that amount, the Garner size. He's 6'2", I believe, as well.
6'2" as well. He's got good speed, good athleticism. I think he was a 3-sport star actually in high school, which is very, very impressive. And again, he was kind of that, again, great press, lanky, man coverage guy for Florida when he was in college. And I think, again, Arizona, they've got a good young corner in Byron Murphy, and Marco Wilson is okay, but I think they could definitely use an upgrade in the secondary. I think that's exactly what Kaiir Elam really provides, and it's kind of like a a now kind of player, a guy that immediately will go in and have
Yeah.
somewhat of an impact on the team.
Yeah, no, that's again, I completely agree with
Mm.
that, and that's why I really like it. And I love, I love Byron Murphy. I think solidifying that cornerback room to me is in the best interest for the Cardinals. Now we're gonna go for the Bengals. Talking about teams who need to improve an offensive line, I think that's them. This is a tough one. Do you go for Trevor Penning, who physically is a monster at 6'7"? I'm looking at the rest of the offensive line, and I think they moved him to inside offensive line if I'm wrong. Um, Denard out of Kentucky. Maybe he's an inside offensive lineman. Yeah, he is Darren Kennard. And that's actually going to be my pick here. I really, to me, and Sir Salier, I mean, he's going to start to rise with, how he played against Aiden Hutchinson in that semifinal game. He was fantastic. But Kennard, to me, again, versatile. He can play tackle, can play inside offensive line. And for a poor Bengals offensive line, that really deceived me. I thought they were good. And then I was like, they're actually not at all. But Kennard, to me, I think the Bengals will finally address that offensive line issue. Is he a Penei Sewell? No. But he's versatile, can play inside, and has size. I believe he's 6'5". 6'5". So he's just been fantastic. And I think, the schemes that they run, zone blocking schemes, obviously they need a big guy out front to block for Joe Mixon, who had that breakout year. I think he's in their best interest because he can pass protect, he can run block, and that kind of benefits all parts of that offense to make it even more high class, which it already was starting to show signs of and arguably was this year. And I think Kennard's a good pick. But sirs, now you're getting all of your divisional rivals picks, and you're going the Bills. Just go take the worst player in the draft. Go take Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State.
Actually, he's a pretty good prospect. I think it's in bad value. But
Yeah.
anyway, going with the Buffalo Bills, they definitely need interior offensive line help, which is why they're probably upset that Kennard did go off the board. So
Yeah.
is it worth to take a Salier, a Rion, or a Zion
Inside
Johnson?
offensive line, there's Zion Johnson.
Yeah,
I think Salier is great. 6'4". He was a
he's
5-star.
great. But
Yeah.
I think they could get a guy like that in the second round.
Yeah.
So I think I'm actually going to go for interior defensive line. Here's where I'm going to go Jordan Davis.
Okay.
I think this makes sense here
The
because the
Bills
Bills
always go the boring
they've got
pick.
they've got a good defense, and they've got like a nice and they got Ed Oliver, but they don't really have a great run defense. And Jordan Davis is the guy that, while he's not going to provide much pass rush, I think can instantly make any team, even a bad run defense, and immediately a top 16 unit, a top half unit in terms of run defense in the NFL. And I think, again, that's one of the few weaknesses to the Bills defense this season. It's been their run defense. We saw it against the Patriots in the Mac Jones 3 passes game. And again, going in, I know we're not talking about the playoffs, but in the playoffs, they will play the Patriots where it's going to be sub-zero weather, and they're going to be forced to kind of stop the run, which will be difficult for them. So why not kind of shore that up for next season with a guy like a Jordan Davis, who's, again, very good in run defense, doesn't provide much pass rush. So the Bills already have kind of a solid pass rush with guys like kind of Gregory Rousseau and AJ Epineza, who've kind of emerged this year somewhat. So I'm going to go with Jordan Davis from Georgia. Again, he's listed as 9, so maybe somewhat of a fall, but I think personally for me, this is kind of exactly where his value should be. And yep, that's what I'm going to go.
All right. We'll move on now to the Detroit Lions. Second pick in the first round for them. And again, obviously looking at some kind of defensive holes for them as well. Quarterback, I don't think I would go Sam Howell here. This is a tough one for me. I'm kind of gonna shock. I just said I don't want to go quarterback, but Desmond Ridder is definitely someone I would look at. I'm not going to go for I'm actually going to go for one of the more underrated receivers in Jahan Dotson out of Penn State.
Like that
Obviously, kind of that size, I believe he's 6'1". Really, really good hands. That's what kind of stands out of this guy. Good route runner, kind of someone good in the red zone. And look, Amon-Ra St. Brown is kind of broken out as he could be that elite receiver. I'm very, very big on go and get, like I did getting Garrett Wilson for the Eagles, kind of go stack that offense. I think, Jared Goff is more than serviceable of a quarterback. I think he's someone who arguably could be kind of that Lions guy. I think he could. He's, at the end, he's made a decent push. And obviously there's, we've talked about so much. Dan Campbell, a lot of people love him. He's not a great coach. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out after next year, but that being said, I think Jahan Dotson is a fantastic receiver, someone who I would probably assume will slip into that second round. But I think this is just around where his value could be. And I was really looking at Devin Lloyd. I think that's where it was either him or Devin Lloyd, but Jahan Dotson the pick for me. Now, Surge, you're up with the Cowboys.
Yep. This is a tough pick because the Cowboys don't really have any true issues with the team. They're kind of pretty set already. I would say maybe one of the few issues is maybe edge. But then again, you have a guy like Micah Parsons who basically is an edge, who is basically an edge and also
I'm
fills up
looking heavily at
linebacker.
safety here.
I'm looking at safety here. I think safety could be an option. I'm actually still am going. It's like what I just said. I'm gonna go with edge though. I think
Okay.
I'm gonna go Trayvon Walker from Georgia. I think again, he's one of those guys who is again not gonna be I don't know if he'll be amazing. I mean, he's got solid athleticism. I think he can play great in the 5 technique. He's pretty versatile as well. And he's got pretty good first step quickness. He's pretty good in terms of the run, in terms of run defense as well. Again, one of those many elite Georgia defensive guys. And I think again, Dallas, they don't really have that many issues, but I think DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, they're both kind of getting up. They're both getting up in age. I think one of them is going to be out of contract in the season as well. So I'm going to go Trayvon Walker for the Cowboys. And again, it's more of a win now pick, kind of just plug the few remaining issues that you have left.
Yeah. Again, that's a tough one. The Cowboys have classically been a tough one to draft for. But now we're going to go to Kansas City, who we could very much see picking at 32 by the time this draft comes around. I'm going to go and stack that linebacking room. I think Devin Lloyd's fallen too far. He makes a ton of sense to me. A very physical linebacker, again, kind of like Nakobe Dean. Modern guy, can pass rush, really, really good at run stuffing. I think that's what they get him for. Very good at noticing run plays, outside zones, pitches, very good at getting past defenders, getting to the running back, tackling, just a good tackler. And I think he adds physicality to a Chiefs defense that might be lacking in it. That being said, I think someone like maybe a Jordan Battle, a safety, or I'm not sure how far he's fallen, but Trent McDuffie would be a good pick here. I'm not sure who this is. Martin Emerson. I don't think I've ever. Well, he seems big guy.
Yeah.
But I think Devin Lloyd again. They took Nick Bolton, who's been good. I think been one of the more underrated defensive players in this class. But I think Devin Lloyd just adds more to that defense that I think needs a little bit of a push to become an elite defense and kind of get somewhat to the level that offense is at. So I think Devin Lloyd's a pick. But now, Serge, you're at the Super Bowl champs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
Again, you just had 2 hard teams to draft for.
Yeah, now I got the Bucks. I think
but now is receiver.
They've got receivers is a question. I really like David Bell out of Purdue, and I think this could kind of be solid value. But I think cornerback is also a need. I think Trent McDuffie. Again, I think he makes sense here. So I'm going to go Trent McDuffie here. Great as a boundary corner, can also play very well in terms of a nickel. He's more of just a defensive back kind of guy. And again, this is more kind of just filling a need because I think Richard Sherman was just a Band-Aid. He's not the long-term option there. I kind of like Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting, but none of them are really number 1 corner options. Again, they were both injured this season. So why not again? While the Super Bowl window is open with Tom Brady still being around, why not just kind of iron out the issues, make sure you have some depth there, just kind of add to a bag of riches really here. And I'm going to go with McDuffie.
So now we have the Titans. I'm not sure why they list linebackers their number 1 need. I really don't think linebackers are a huge need for them. But then you have tight end. Who I don't even know who the tight ends are.
McBride, this is actually a very good tight end class. It's got a lot of depth. There's got a lot of solid options.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at all these, but I'm not sure the Alabama tight end is. He must not be
You mean the Georgia tight end? Bowers, he is a freshman.
Yeah, Quinn Bowers. I think he might have got. Yeah. I don't think either of them are. They might be sophomores. But now we have the Titans, and I mean, I could just shock the world and go and take a Malik Willis.
Ooh,
is very, very, very tempting. Almost too tempting.
I mean, honestly, what else really fits for Tennessee right here?
Yeah.
Tackle, I guess.
Tackle.
But Lawan is there.
I'm going to shock the world. We'll go for Malik Willis. I mean, you might as well at the end of the mock drafts. At least not as many people are watching here. I just think, with the upside Malik Willis has, if somehow you can make this guy pan out with Mike Vrabel, who we know is a fantastic coach, and RB Coach of the Year this year,
Mhm.
with Derrick Henry, with AJ Brown, and a decent offensive line, I think Malik Willis, this is arguably the best situation for him. And
Mm.
obviously, we know this guy has the ability to be a better Lamar Jackson. He is Lamar Jackson, but mobility wise, and then just has a fantastic arm. It just needs to be polished. So sitting behind Tannehill, whether that be for a year or two, could be the option. I think that's what my pick would be here.
Mm.
Serge, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this one or just go with Packers, but
I kind of
I
like
think
it because I think this
that
is
would be
kind of
my pick
like
if I was
it
the
reminds me of
Tennessee
kind of
Titans.
like
And again, very much a pick for the
mm,
future.
yeah, I actually kind of like it because I think it actually does remind me of kind of a pick that's going to be like kind of drafting for like maybe down the road so you can kind of push them over the top and like kind of make the most of when all of these guys are at their best. So I don't hate the pick. I actually don't hate the pick. I think there were other options, but man, I think it's not the end of the world. You have the Packers now with the last pick, 32nd pick in the draft. Oof. Yeah,
This is a
all these
tough one.
picks, this is a tough one. I think you could Jermaine Johnson is tempting here, but I think Preston Smith is in danger of being cut, but they still got Rashawn Gary and Zadarius Smith. Um, Tackle, they've got Bakhtiari and Billy Turner and Njiman, who's been
Yeah,
okay. I love how quarterbacks on the list.
I
Why
know.
not go Sam Howell?
Yeah.
Uh, I think that now is where I'm going to go David Bell because
Okay.
Devontae Adams is out of contract.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he might be franchise tagged because reports have came out that he might be franchise tagged. But regardless, they need to find an answer kind of to this to the Packers receiving problem. Because if Devontae Adams does leave, who's your number one? Alan Lazard, MVS. I mean, they're both like solid complementary options, but they're definitely not number one receivers. And David Bell, he could be like a unicorn. Like he could be like one of those kind of a great like those guys who could be like an amazing weapon. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. He could be he kind of is almost like that prototypical X receiver. He I think could operate well in a kind of a vertical offense. Um and again, I think he's kind of we've seen in the past with some of these like kind of big games against teams like Michigan State or Michigan or Iowa that he can make these big acrobatic catches in big games, and he's shown up in some of these big games. And I just like him a bit more over Pickens, who I really haven't seen enough of really to say, oh yeah, he's a first round talent, or who was the other option there? I think it was
Yeah, I think those are probably the two.
yeah. So I'm gonna
David
go
Bell to
David
me,
Bell.
just he's exactly like Rondale Moore was last year, kind of that
Mm.
same like either late or first.
Except a lot bigger.
Yeah.
A
How
lot
big is
bigger.
David Bell?
6'2".
Yeah, bigger guy.
Big guy.
All right. Well, we hope you guys did enjoy the mock draft. As always, do make sure to subscribe if you enjoy mock draft content. A ton of stuff is coming. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel. Just hit 1,600. Thank you guys so much. We're hoping to get by 2,000 by the summer. So if you could help us get there, that would mean the world. Key McDermott, Surge, Kadali, TheeSportsScoop, follow us on social media. All the links to anything that's not YouTube that we do, podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all down below. Post a ton of other stuff, recaps of mocks and stuff like that. And, we post everything NFL as well. We're not just a draft channel. We do everything NFL. Expect playoff predictions for all divisional, AFC, NFC championship, and then the Super Bowl to be coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the draft. All right. We'll see you next time.